Oh my God, AI is coming, it's going to replace all physios, chiros, and osteos. We're going to be obsolete. It's going to cause the biggest shift where people don't want to pay for our services anymore. This is something I've heard maybe at least once a week since the introduction of ChatGPT. Now, the truth is, yes, I think AI will replace a lot of clinicians, but it's going to replace a certain type of clinician. It's going to replace the clinicians who are just heavily focused on information arbitrage. All they do is read up on evidence, maybe they read up on books, and they just try and educate the patient on the things that the patient might not know. Well, since you add AI into the mix, all that information is literally about one sentence away of the patient typing that into ChatGPT, and they'll get access to that. So if you're that type of clinician, then yeah, you're going to be replaced. You're going to be obsolete because AI can now do it for you. So when I hear this statement of AI is going to really kill the field, I just think it's a very fear-based and limited mindset, because technological disruption across every industry, across time, has not replaced many roles. Some have and some haven't. However, if I use an example like a pressure cooker or even an air fryer, what did that replace? That replaced somebody having to sit there and stir the pot for, say, 20, 30 minutes to slow cook something, right? Instead of it taking 3 hours to make a stew, now it takes only 15 or 20 minutes in the pressure cooker. And chefs who could use the pressure cooker can now improve their output beyond what they could previously imagine based off just a normal stove. But the key point here is that the chef still exists. The chef now just has to learn how to creatively use this new tool given to him. In the same way, when the Theragun was introduced, a lot of patients now had the ability to use a self-massaging tool on their quads, their arms, on their backs if they have a partner. And this tool, you could argue, could replace massage therapy and some treatments of physios and chiros and whatnot. But it didn't. In fact, most physios and chiros and osteos saw that this tool could preserve their hands, and they quickly bought it to use as a treatment tool because they didn't want to deal with arthritic fingers. That mindset of, okay, how do I use this tool to complement my treatment, can be applied to AI, because at the end of the day, AI, like the internet, is just a tool. And if you learn how to leverage it, you learn how to use it to maximize your treatment, your practice, then it's going to only be a very good thing. However, if you don't learn how to use it, then yeah, it's going to replace you, and the people who do learn how to use it will eventually innovate to the point where you will become basically useless. So to address this question, let's do inverted thinking, right? Let's just think about this in the opposite way. If I wanted AI to replace me, what could I do? Right? If I wanted to be obsolete right now as a health professional, what would I do? Well, number one, I would focus purely on just always educating my patient. I would never do any hands-on treatment. I would be so rude, so smelly, so lacking in social and interpersonal skills that nobody wants to come see me for me. They'd only ever come and see me because I have some level of expertise that they need. I would never have an individual personalized prescription for any patient ever again. I would not create anything that has to improve the patient experience in my clinic. I would not focus on having great communication. I would not focus on emotional regulation and being a good emotional support for my patients. All these things I would do or not do in order to be accurately and quickly replaced by AI. Now, can you see what I'm trying to say here? There are so many things that make you, the therapist, valuable to the patient. And as the patient increases their use of AI, I believe that there are going to be three main factors I can think of right now that will actually move us towards a better direction in our field. And the three factors are, number one, it's going to equalize the informational playing field, which drives ethical practice and shifts patient rehabilitation to an experience and not purely a biomedical issue. Number two, it will force creative innovation within the healthcare industry and within practitioners, which will actually improve the way we deliver our care. And three, it's going to bring the human element back into healthcare. By the way, guys, if you enjoy learning about sales and communication for the health field, then you might like my book, How to Rebook Patients Without Being Pushy. If you want to learn more about it, just head down to the description box. Back to the episode. Now let's talk about the first point. With information being so abundantly available, it's going to improve ethical practice. What this means is when your patient types in something and searches their condition, they're going to be given, hopefully, 98% accurate information of what the condition is, what the best treatment plan is, what's not going to work, what to avoid. Now, if you have an unethical clinician who fearmongers, who gives false information because they're leveraging their credentials to try and scare the patient into rebooking, now patients actually have the health literacy because they can just Google anything on AI. And unlike the Google search engine, Google is a marketing tool. AI gives you information based on what's the best available information to it. It's not driven by the click rate and whether you stay on Google. It's driven by the utility of the information. In another example, across another industry like law, if you wanted to have some sort of dispute and you wanted to consult a lawyer as to how you can approach this situation, you can actually go on ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever it is. You could get an outline of what you need to know. And as you go to the lawyer, if they start presenting something that is contrary to what you read on ChatGPT, you actually have a defense mechanism against something or someone who's trying to scam you, essentially. So this is only going to be a good thing. And the people who remain ethical, now they're validated because AI says the same thing. Now, because the information is equalized amongst all patients, most clinics can't rely on just knowing more than the patient to deliver rehab. Now clinics have to shift towards the patient experience. And we can borrow concepts from tech like user experience, from gamers like gaming experience, where it's all about how do we keep this person engaged with their experience in the rehab setting so that they continue to come, they continue to invest in their rehab until they reach the discharge stage. Now, personally, I believe that this is a long time coming, and with the advent of AI, we now think about how do we make the patient feel better when they walk in here? How do we construct the environment so they want to be here? How do we construct the environment so it builds a sense of community, not only within themselves and the practitioner, but also with the other staff, as well as potentially with other patients. Now we have more time to think about how we can improve the entire experience and not spend so much time just focusing on the information end of our profession. Point number 2, this is going to force creative innovation in our practitioners, because when one thing disappears, which is the information arbitrage, something else has to replace it. Because after all, we have all this time, we have all this new attention, and we can create something that is completely unique to the person in front of us. So I believe we're going to see the merging and blending of creative elements like art and like music, which will probably integrate into more of the hard science of, say, rehab, because we no longer have to worry about trying to educate them. Another innovation that I can think of is because now information is so abundant, practitioners don't have to spend all this time repeating themselves with similar conditions to similar people. Instead, let's just say you were able to train the AI to give the information that you wanted to give, and then you could collate that into, say, information packets or ebooks or a personalized information pack to the patient. And they can read it themselves so that when they come in, no longer do we have to spend time educating them on the prognosis and the diagnosis and the pathophys. Instead, we can focus on more manual therapy, we can focus on more exercise-based, we can focus on building a relationship with them. And that in itself may open up the doors for cheaper healthcare for them, but also without compromising how much of your financial reward there is. You could potentially increase your ability to have semi-private classes or even a group membership for rehabilitation settings, because every single person now has their own information packet with their program that you have trained your AI system to conveniently provide for them to make it helpful for their literacy levels, for their comprehension levels, and maybe you could even have videos that are their race, that is their height, maybe it is exactly their body size, and that will increase their buy-in for that patient. What I'm trying to say is, whatever AI replaces for you, which is going to be the information part, that time and energy can then be used to reinvest and innovate to create something that's so uniquely your own clinic or your own as a practitioner that you can give to your patients that truly, truly sets you apart in ways that no other clinic could copy. And point number 3 is it brings the human element back into healthcare. Now, what I mean by this is if all the information becomes equalized, then the only unique difference between me, you, other people is the way we speak, is how we interpret information, is our personality and the way we gel with our patient. So now patients are going to have the ability to choose their practitioner not based off credentials or the information they might have, although that's still important. They're going to choose them based off that person's character. They're going to choose them based off that person's reputation in, say, ethical behavior. They're going to choose based off maybe even personal interests and even things like whether this person has experienced the same things as me in the journey that I'm on. So it's going to now be a matter of, do I want to go see Phil, the person who's also a physio, or am I going to go see, say, Mark down the road, who is for Mark because I like his calmer demeanor, I like the way that he talks about soccer, I like that we gel on the way we see business, and he's also a physio, right? So this shift from all about the profession or the business to the more personal side now makes it even more important that you develop yourself as a person of good character, as a person of moral value, I suppose, of ethical behavior, because this is going to be the differentiator in the future behind why somebody chooses to work with you versus somebody else. And this, in my opinion, is actually a very good thing, because we've forgotten somehow that it is important in a society to be of good character. Now, what that means is different for everyone, obviously, and I'm not trying to say that I have a interpretation of what I think is good character. However, I do have a standard that I like to live by. I do believe that my ethics are important and the way I carry myself in this world is important, and that has been forgotten for a little while because success was business, success was accolades, success was credentials. But if that knowledge is now equalized, then it reverts back to the original, which is, who are you as a person? What do you stand for as a person? How do you treat other people? Are you just good in clinic to your patients, or are you good overall? So reputation and your unique character becomes even more important because the information field is now level. So to recap, is AI going to replace health professionals? Yes, some. Is it going to replace some of our duties? Yes. But in the replacement of these duties, what can happen is we create new things that actually enhance the patient experience and move this field forward. And so if you want to get started on the evolution now, the 3 things that you want to focus on is improve your ethical practice and improve patient experience. 2, start creatively innovating with AI. Use it as a tool, no different to a pressure cooker, no different to a Theragun, no different to even dry needling. They're all tools. Learn to use them so you can create an even better, unique experience. And 3, now more than ever is it important that you believe in yourself as a human being. You cultivate your own unique character, you cultivate what's important to you, and your values are going to shine through. Because once everything becomes equal in the information age, once people realize that almost all information they need in rehab is at their fingertips, who they choose to do the rehab with is going to be more important than what that person knows. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.